Hey, Andre.
Hello, Tara.
Hello. We're just about ready to get started with Mondays with Tara and Andre.
Monday again already.
Yeah,
it comes right after Sunday.
Yeah.
There's no pause. I wonder if they should have like a pause in between Sunday and Monday.
Like a
Sun yeah, like Thursday's your mini Friday. And that's easy enough to go into. Friday, it's like I don't need any prep for that. But Mondays, it's kind of like, should have more of a transition period.
Well, I love Mondays because it's Mondays with Tara and Andre.
Oh, that's cool too.
Oh, yeah. I'm just seeing some oil on. I put some of that energy oil on you. And it's
so energized. I actually got a little energy from this morning.
Yes, so did I. Well, welcome to our live training today.
Training.
I'm going to start calling it training because it is kind of training.
What are we training for?
Well, we're training. We're providing training to people who are watching, and today's topic is online dating and polyamory 101, the 5 things you need to know.
Online dating, because we have the online dating event happening on Thursday.
We do.
Thursday this time.
Yes, we have our TNA Speed Dating and Polyamory meetup this Thursday, May 26th. At 8 p.m. Eastern. So there's still time to sign up. We will be cutting off sign up probably at noon that day.
Right. And what's really cool about this one, a little bit of so my OCD. So what's cool about this online dating is that while it's online, you might be able to meet people in your own village, your own neighborhood, and that's cool too. But you might also meet people from around the world because we have members from all over the place.
Yeah.
And you might be meeting people outside of what you imagine would be your target area, right? So let's say I want to meet a couple or singles or a tribe, whatever it is. You might get that, but you might get something different too. So it's kind of like a grab bag potluck kind of deal.
Yes.
You never know what you're
gonna
get.
So there's still time to sign up for that. But today we're going to talk about our topic. So please say hello in the comments and tell us where you're joining us from. Also, you can tell us if you're coming to speed dating. That'd be awesome. We have several people signed up already. I'm pretty excited. So today
you're going to be there too, right?
I'm going to be there. Are you going to be there?
I'll be there too.
Yeah.
But you're going to be there from a different location.
Yes, last minute trip to Cuba. So we're gonna with my friend.
With your
friend. So you're gonna be here hosting in Montreal, and I'll be hosting in Cuba. So hopefully internet will cooperate. So I've already contacted the hotel to make sure that I can have a space where I can do that. So I'm super excited. Cool. Let's get on to
I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to handle the tech side from my side. I wonder if I should get somebody to sit with me and make sure that I'm able to press all the right buttons.
Well, volunteers, any volunteers? So if you're joining us from our YouTube channel, we do this every week. And so you can join our Let's Talk Polyamory group. And so if you're joining it from Let's Talk, let's say hello. But let's jump in. Oh, before we do, one more announcement. I keep promising this every week, but this week, I promise, by tomorrow, I am going to get up the information on how to sign up for the Pride Parade.
Yeah.
Yes.
People are already asking about like costumes and what we're going to wear and what the theme is. And a lot of excitement buzzing around that. That's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to it.
So I'll get it up so people can sign up because, it's been busy.
Get it up.
Get it up.
But it's the first time we're going to be back officially in Pride, right? After a few years. Man, we had those informal Pride events where we made our own parade, and we had about maybe 20, 30 people.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. This time should be a couple of million, not just in our float.
Couple of million.
Yeah. Apparently, Toronto Pride is the second or third largest Pride celebration anywhere in the world. And if you've not been to Toronto Pride, you should come check it out. It is full of love. It's very incorporating. It's very... the spirit is love and incorporation. I don't know. That's
June. Sorry, I want to get on to the day's stuff. June 26th. We'll get the page to sign up.
June 26th? The last
June 26th.
Weekend in June. Okay, what falls on
Sunday,
Thursday,
June 26th.
Okay.
So that's the day of the parade. We'll have a pre-event at my place in Toronto, so you can get dressed up, we can get excited, and then we'll go to the parade grounds, the parade area where we line up, and then we'll walk the parade. It's going to be super fun. We're going to get flags. It's going to be crazy. Okay.
Flags. I can't get my bow tie straight today.
Yeah.
I made it quite well. All right,
you did. Okay, let's jump into today's topic because that's why people are here.
Okay.
So online dating and polyamory 101, the 5 things you need to know.
Right, and this is not exclusive to couples, and it's not exclusive to online, but these are things that we could really put towards the online.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about online, but this, obviously you could apply these things to more than that. So the number one thing as always. Oh, good morning,
Decide
Triana.
what you want.
Yeah. Oh, are we still living in Toronto or did we move to Montreal? Oh,
yes.
Yes. To both. We have places in both places,
Well,
so we spend time.
You have a place in Toronto.
Yeah.
And I have a place in Montreal.
Yeah, so we split our time between the two cities. So we're in both cities.
Which is kind of ironic because we positioned ourselves to be digital nomads, and then COVID hit, and I was like, so got to get back in that travel mode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, back to online speed dating and dating.
Yeah.
So number one, decide what it is you're wanting, right? So,
yes.
And then, that's universal, right? So it's kind of like the 4 steps of the cure, right? The cure is knowing what you want, finding a way of getting it, and being happy having it. So knowing.
So say that slowly one more time.
The 4 steps of the cure is knowing what you're wanting.
Yes.
Finding a way of getting it, and being happy having it.
Yes.
Because sometimes we say we want this, then we get there and it's like, that's not quite what I thought. Then we go into the next one again. Well, what would make me happiest? So right now we're wanting to find out, as far as dating, what is it that we're wanting? So let's say we go at it as a couple.
Yes.
Well, what are we wanting, right? So are we wanting to be swingers? Are we wanting to fall in love with other people and have, metamors brought into our relationship? Are we wanting to just go out to sex parties? Are we wanting, so there's a whole bunch of different...
a lot of questions.
Sure, a lot of questions. So find out by having that dialogue, being open with yourself and honest, and then open and honest with your partner or partners, and find out what it is we're wanting, find out where we both share the same things. Yeah, that would be fun, or I'm not quite sure if I want as much of that as you do. Find out what it is. Speak openly from your heart, because if you just try to please the other person, that's a wonderful gesture, but if it really doesn't resonate with you, how long will that be sustainable? And will it be the breeding ground for possible resentment? As opposed to going at it from where you are at, and then we can find out, well, where do we have that overlap? What interests us? And let's go at it that way.
Yeah, so coincidentally, we talked about this very topic last week. So if you didn't watch last week's training, then you can go back. It's in the guides. But you can also, and we'll drop the link after this, to sign up to get this awesome worksheet that we put together that you can fill in and complete first a section by yourself, like what you want. Because I think it's important to decide first what you want as an individual, and then have the conversation with your partner or partners.
Absolutely.
And then you can talk about agreements and that sort of thing. What do we want together? What do we value? Anyways, it's all in the worksheet that we put together. And as well, I know some people who watched last week wanted the diagram of the different relational identities, so polyamorous, all that. So that's in there as well. So deciding what you want. So you can get that checklist. Checklist is a worksheet, not checklist. Yeah. So that's number 1.
Okay. Yeah. But you're absolutely right. Yeah, you got to know yourself what it is you're wanting. And I mean, that goes in our relationship styles, that goes in our way of communicating, our touch, all kinds of things, right? You got to be in touch with yourself first, and then but if you're not yet knowing, you might enlist the assistance of some friends or a friend to help you explore what it is you're wanting.
And be open to exploring. Because and you don't have to decide once. I think sometimes people get into this scenario where they're thinking that they have to decide once. You have one conversation and you decide, and then it's like that forever. And I think that's from people who I've talked to and clients and stuff like that. That's, I think, sometimes where people get into a bit of trouble, maybe struggle, because one person wants to grow or change or reconsider the agreement, and it feels like it's stuck. So I think that's the important part, is that you're not stuck in anything. You can always decide and change.
We're always changing. We're always changing. But that makes me think of 2 things. One, try everything twice at least, right? Because you might have one reaction to it the first time and then have a completely different reaction the second time. So that will give you lots of information. But also the other part about, you might say you want this and then it might change over time, comes back to the most important part. And that is always feeling as though we're within our rights to bring back or grant our consent.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Okay, so number 1 was deciding what you want. And then number 2 is, if you are doing it online,
set up your online profiles.
Set up your online profiles. And so we've also created, because we're going to try to do this more often, is provide you a resource that goes along with our weekly talks, trainings, so that you can do the work as well. So we put together an awesome T&A dating checklist and tip sheet on how to set up an online profile.
I want to ask you about that. So I read a lot of profiles just because I'm curious, and it's part of what we do and all that. And I came across a profile the other day that was so well written, and this person had really hit all the points. I mean, they spoke about it on different levels, what they were wanting as far as frequency of their dating, what style of relationship they were looking for, what type of sexual encounters they were looking for. Anyway, so on all these different spectrums, they had all that. And it's wonderful that they had this language. Some people, I think, leave it rather open and vague. And it's like, well, what are you offering? And then I'll show you what I'm wanting as well. Or, there's a whole bunch of it. Do you have a preference? Like, do you prefer to read profiles that are kind of ambiguous and like, well, who knows what's going to happen? Or do you prefer ones that like are very directed and say, well, I'm looking for, this type of thing? And
yeah, I like to see, I like to see that someone's put an effort into, first of all, thinking about what they want. Otherwise, I find it too vague, and then I'm not sure what questions to ask. I think if you have a good profile, and this is what we talk about in our checklists and tip sheet, is how to set up a good profile and to say exactly what you're saying, what it is that you want, what you're looking for, who you are as a person. I like to know that, because I think beyond the photos, I think reading someone's profile gives you a better sense of them and makes me as an individual want to engage with that person more. Yeah, they've actually taken effort like, hey, hit me up. I don't know.
Right. Okay. So that would get you more interested, the more information.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So speaking of the checklist and tip sheet, we're going to do something differently this week. Last week, you had to sign up to get it, and you can still get that one. But this week, we said in the promo, we're going to have a secret word that we would tell you on the training.
Yeah.
So what do you think the secret word is? I know you know.
I know. It goes back to the analogy that we use when talking about opening up relationships.
Yeah. I wonder if anybody knows. There's a specific analogy that Andre uses. It's a sports analogy for when you talk about polyamory and how it works.
The idea of having different partners.
Yes, having different partners. Should we just give it to them?
Why don't we just give it to them?
Okay, it's tennis.
Tennis.
Yes, tennis.
Tennis is the analogy that's used to describe opening up relations? How so?
Maybe you should describe it.
Very quickly.
But before you go into it, though, drop tennis in the comments if you want to get the checklist, and I will DM you and give it to you.
You better get that checklist. So very quickly, and apologies again for those who have heard this for a million times, but often open relating, polyamory, swinging, all of that is the tennis analogy is used to kind of demonstrate what it would be like. So here it goes. You and I both like to play tennis. We get together on Saturday. We play tennis. It goes really well. And we're like, well, why don't we do it again next Saturday? And we do that. And then we play again. And then, during the week, I say, hey, what are you doing Wednesday? You want to play? And you're like, yeah, sure. We're playing. Man, our tennis games are going freaking really well. I'm liking it. You're liking it. And I'm like,
getting special outfits for tennis.
Yeah, all that. And it's become a little bit more frequently. And then at one point, I say, hey, Tara, I love playing tennis with you so much. I prefer if you didn't play tennis with anybody else.
Oh.
Yeah, what's up with that? So it would be kind of parallel. Well, if you and I were dating and we start dating, and all of a sudden I say, I like you so much, I don't want you to see other people. As though if you were to play tennis with other people, it would somehow detract from our ability to play tennis together, which just isn't the case, right? So the tennis analogy is used to show that we could have different tennis partners, survive that, and it could even enhance our game. Well, the same should be true with relating to other people, whether it's emotionally, sexually, physically, whatever it might be.
Phew. Tennis. We've talked about that in a few.
So we put a green tennis ball.
Yay! Oh, you get bonus points if you put like an emoji for the tennis ball. That's awesome.
Yeah, we'd accept a racket or a net.
Okay, so quickly in that, setting up your online profile. Yeah. I know someone said here that they're new to online dating, considering it since you keep running into people who are really monogamous, and then I get hurt.
I've spoken to a few clients who say now that they will not speak to people who don't explicitly say that they are open relating or polyamorous or whatever, that they will not take straight civilians. So they just
straight civilians.
They don't want to have to educate them. They don't want to have to come to a conversation. I've even had my profile up that says that I'm wanting that type of relationship, and I've been hit back from other women who are like, well, when are you going to grow up, or when are you going to get serious? And trust me, like, some of those relationships are pretty serious.
Yes. Yeah. So, but you can decide, whether or not that's something that you want to date people who are normally monogamous. But I think sometimes you can get in situations where, despite people saying, oh no, I'm open to dating, and then, there may be feelings on the other side. I mean, totally manageable, but.
Yeah, for sure. But it's like the end run, the goal, the orientation might be different, and it might cause for some opportunities of exploration where we might find clarity and find out what we want to overlap. But some people, philosophically, they don't mix the two. Like if I'm monogamous, I want somebody who's going to be mine and just mine and like that. Mm-hmm. And the idea of being open relating might not have enough, there might not be enough window or openness for that other style of relating.
Yeah.
So if you're polyamorous and I'm monogamous and you want to see me and I'm like, well, I don't really want you playing tennis with other people, it might be something that's going to have to be worked through.
Yeah, it could be. But then there's couples who decide they're partnered and one person decides they want to be with other people and be polyamorous and the other person's monogamous and it works out just fine. I mean, it's not the I'd say it's not the easiest thing to navigate.
No, but sometimes that is actually a relief. You're wanting to go out and do these things. I'm not really into it. And you want to go do these things. And when I say I'm not really into it, I might feel as though, well, I feel bad that you're not doing those things. Whereas if you go to it and do that, I might feel a sense of relief and go, that's great. Yeah. Like now she can go do those things and come back and we're all good.
Yeah, you're right. There's people that we know that that are in the group that have talked about partners being asexual, and so they have an amazing relationship. They may share parenting. They may do a lot of those things, and they have a close relationship. But the sexual thing is not something they're interested in. So,
or emotionally, they might have a partner who is very sexual, but doesn't really reciprocate emotionally, and then they find other friends or partners who will. So, but the whole point of it, the whole idea of this is that we'll only know that if we are having open and honest communication patterns, right? If we're speaking honestly about the things we're wanting and not wanting.
Exactly.
So speak about it.
So let's go back to number 2, which is setting up your online profile. And like we said, if you'd like the checklist, drop tennis in the comments. You can do it during the replay or now or whenever. I'll keep going back and checking for it. But just quickly, there's a checklist and then there's a bunch of tips that go with it. The checklist is, some of it's very similar to what we're talking about today. The first being decide what you want. The number 2 is researching different online sites to find out the ones that suit you. Yeah. And on the checklist itself, we do have some recommendations based on our own experience.
I'm smiling because it makes me think back. We went on a date this year with a lovely couple, and they were talking about a website where we had met, and it seemed like it works fairly well. They said that they met some nice people, and then they were talking about another website that they were told to go check out.
My God.
They said that the profiles were basically shots of genitalia, and it really didn't do much for them.
It was funny because I had been putting together the checklist before we went out, and he's like, "Oh, there's this other dating site," and I was like, "Ooh, another one to add." And then when they told us, it was like, "Yeah."
But we should include it because hey, don't yuck somebody's or don't. How do you say it? Don't yuck somebody's yum?
Yeah, don't yuck somebody's yum.
So it might not be for you. Maybe you don't like that style, but there might be a lot of people out there who do. In fact, there's enough that there's a website that has that.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So then setting up your awesome online dating profiles, I'd suggest more than one. And so there's tips on the checklist about how exactly to do that. And we talked a bit about that today. So, one of the other things is look at the profiles and swipe on the ones that are of interest.
And if they're of interest to you, what is it about it that is of interest to you? And should you incorporate something similar? So if you like the fact that they hit all these different markers on their website, then maybe your profile would be well served by doing that as well.
Yeah. In fact, I actually went into my field account yesterday and did a little tweak on there.
Oh, did you? I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. Start the conversation. So we're still on your online dating profile. Start the conversation, ask questions. I learned that one from you. There's nothing like ending a conversation than just answering someone's question or making a statement. I always like to, and this is true of dating too, I think, but you have to be careful.
Yeah.
Because some people I know can ask questions all day, all night long. And then you end up realizing that you're the one answering all the questions and they're answering your questions with a question.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't no idea.
But anyway,
who that is.
Going back to the earlier part. So yeah, I find it kind of disappointing and frustrating that I might be engaging with somebody where, hey, hi, how are you? And then we start and, do you enjoy going for long walks? And like, yes.
Yes, it's a bit of a two-way street.
Right. And so that tells me either you're not interested or that you have so many people that all you can do is, you only have like 2 seconds to enter yes, and then you're on to the next person. So I don't think I'm really going to be getting a whole lot from it. Whereas if I said, do you like long walks? Yes, I love them. And in fact, the last walk I did was up the mountain. You want to join me sometime? Oh, well, then there's how often do you go, or whatever. Yeah, so ask some questions that might create a dialogue. Find out, and you might even find out through this, like, you know what, the more I'm getting to know, maybe it's not my jam, maybe not my show.
Yeah, and the apps can be a bit of a, a time killer. So you might want to be selective too about how many chats you have.
Yeah.
Okay, so
how many chats you have? Shouldn't have too many pokers in the fire?
Yes, the 5 W's. That's great. That's awesome suggestion. Yeah. You can always ask all those things.
Yeah, not the why, just the W's.
Okay, once you decide to meet, this is on the checklist still, do it smartly and safely.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Well, we have a whole training on this about 6 steps to successful first dates. It was actually our second video we ever did in the group.
Oh,
so,
wow.
yeah. And
but when we're doing it smartly and safely, right, we're wanting to be safe about it, meaning that we're really just seeing people online. We don't really know that they are who they say they are, or where they're coming from, or what the story is. So we like to go at it that everybody has good intention, and we believe that the world is full of love. That's true. But we also want to make sure that we are taken care of and safe about it. So we might ask that we meet in a open, neutral, public place. Or we would ask that people maybe verify themselves, right? They send us a picture that's unique or doing whatever.
That was why the picture we used was like this.
Right.
We did that for a couple. It's like, because sometimes people do peace signs and stuff like that. You might want people to take a picture.
Yeah, because we've had stories, and I know it's happened even to me, that we've been, I'm going to meet somebody and they're not at all who they said they were in a variety of forms. So, that's okay if they don't necessarily look at their picture, but what if they present very different than who they are? So in other words, do your due diligence, take care of yourself, always safety first.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that COVID did that was great was that it got people more used to online interaction.
Sure.
So you can always do a video chat that might fast track getting getting to know people. So one of the things on the checklist obviously is find other.
I'll be right back.
Finding other events that are happening, so like our online speed dating, or other things like there's lots of groups and that sort of thing online that you can meet other people that might have similar interests. And then the last part of the checklist is get help when needed. So if you are struggling with this whole thing, you can always reach out to us or other people and get support. Ask a question in the group, that sort of thing. So we talked about, so number 1 was knowing what you want. Number 2 was setting up your online profile. And number 3 is the do's and the please don'ts.
Right.
So this is the things you must do. So do's. So we talked a bit about this already. So be honest. I think that's always a good thing. Like, be honest about what it is that you're wanting, what you're looking for, and be honest also when maybe you're not interested in somebody.
Right. That makes me think of the dating scenario that we went to last night, or in any of. So there's I guess like 3 major possibilities, right? That we like them and they like us. That's the best one, I suppose. And then the other one is that we don't either one of us like each other, and it's no hard feelings. And then there's the one where we like them, they don't like us, or they like us and we don't like them. And sometimes that's a little bit harder to navigate, right? Either you have to tell the person, you're lovely, but I'm really not feeling it, which can be kind of, or you really like the other person and they're like, sorry, dude, not really feeling it.
Yeah, and I think that's common. But what I like to say, like I've had clients say this, is that, I was talking with this person, or I went out on a date with them. They were very nice, but I'm just not into them. And they're like, I feel so guilty because I spent this time with them and they're interested in me and all that stuff. And what I like to say is, like, are you doing them a favor by kind of stringing them along? If you don't really like them, you're actually doing them a favor by telling them and being honest that you're not interested.
Yeah, you value their time as you do your own.
Yeah, so I think it's a better and kinder thing to do, is to let people know.
Yeah, I think it's hard to try and fake liking somebody. Faking that you're into them.
Yeah, I think people can tell. Like, I know sometimes I get uncomfortable and people will be messaging me. And like I had a situation with somebody yesterday. They've been messaging me a few hellos and that sort of thing, and I haven't really been responsive. And so I finally decided, they're like, are you okay? Is everything okay? I mean, we didn't go on a date. Nothing ever happened. They're the ones that have sort of been messaging and I haven't been responding, which is maybe not nice, but I'm kind. It's not very kind because I kept telling them I'm busy and they're like, that's cool. But they kept messaging me.
Mm-hmm.
And so finally yesterday I said, I'm really sorry. I'm not interested right now. And I'm, not looking for other partners
Mm-hmm.
or interactions or whatever. And then that's it.
How did they respond?
I actually don't know. I didn't look to see if they responded. I'll have to look.
Yeah, because the response is interesting too, right? Some people are very gracious and like, no problem, like, let me know in the future, or I get it, whatever. And other people, they really personalize it and it hits their ego and they're like, well, fuck you. It's like, whatever. And like they become angered by it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. That does happen. And then you just have to remember that's not about you. It's something about them, and try not to take it. So in the don't take it personally. But let's continue with the do's.
Okay.
So consent.
So to be honest, yeah.
Yeah, consent is one of our favorite things. So
do consent or don't.
Yeah, do consent. Yeah, be consenting. Offer your consent. You can take away your consent
at any time.
You put down, may I approach? And that's a kind of fun thing. We were engaging in some activities with a group of people when we were in Portugal, and one of the gentlemen that was there.
Sweet man.
So they were lovely people.
With a charming English accent, which right there. I mean, what are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
Right?
And he said to me, he's like, may I approach? And I was like, oh, I just really liked that approach.
It's such a kind, gentle way of kind of.
Yeah. So now you use that sometimes.
So how might you respond if you were not receptive to it? And he said, may I approach?
That's a good question. I think I would say, what would I say? I'm not ready at this moment, or I need a minute, or I'm taking a break, or there's lots of things you could say. Okay. I think, and if you're in a situation where you're the one asking for consent, be aware, like taking the temperature. Because I think sometimes people do say yes, or that it's not clear if they're consenting. And so if there is any resistance, I think it's important to ask questions. So that's a do, ask questions.
Right. But even before asking, you might try and get a sense of it, right? You might see there should be some indicators that the person seems open. And I think one of the easiest ways is, are they trying to make eye contact with you, or are they trying to avoid your eye contact?
Yeah.
Because that says a lot, right? If somebody's looking, kind of looking for you, that's great. But if they're kind of like looking away and you try to like get their attention, they're kind of not right there, that might be an indicator that, maybe your timing needs to be, or approach might be needs to be different. Yeah. So try and be aware.
Yeah. So even if you're taking the temperature, do ask still for consent.
For sure,
Never making assumptions about anything.
I'm saying even before asking, you might want to gauge, is this a good time to ask?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And we did talk about verifying people. I think that's super important.
Yeah, do that. Do that, because that way you feel safe to know who you are, and that they, be honest about who you are as well, so that they're not, like, wow, I didn't know that's who you were. It didn't come up before.
So what are some of your please don'ts as it relates to online dating? I mean, I definitely have one.
Yeah, don't send me pictures of your genitals, for JJs or dick pics, until we get there. If we get there.
Yeah.
It's not a good opening line. And, there was an interesting article about why men send dick pics. It's supposedly about their ability. Anyway, I won't get into the psychology of it, but as well-meaning as they may be, hoping that that's your best shot, it actually often works against them. So,
yeah, I don't know. I would love to hear some comments if people enjoy getting pictures like that. I personally do not share or desire sexy pics or pics of people's genitals before I meet them. That's kind of my hard rule is before I meet someone, I'm not sharing pictures that I wouldn't be comfortable seeing on the internet.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I don't know that I want necessarily full frontal nudity. Looks like we're going into operating room dick pics, but boudoir pictures that show like, people in bikini on the beach or some kind of like nightclub stuff. Yeah, I think that could be kind of fun. Yeah,
my picture on Field and on FetLife is,
FetLife.
Yes, FetLife. That's one of the ones. Yeah, I'm on FetLife. I never go on though. That's my problem. People message me once in a while, find me there, and I'm like, oh yeah, FetLife. I totally forgot about this. But yeah, it's a tastefully done boudoir photo, and I don't mind it because I think it's suggestive. It's not completely out. Oh yeah, dick pics don't attract me. Yeah, no. I mean, I had somebody I'm dating, they were away and they sent me a picture, and it was super cute because they took a picture and then they blocked out the genitals, like, which I thought was like good, because I think I had probably said to them, I don't share pictures and stuff like that, but it was a nice picture. Mm-hmm. They had blacked it out, but the problem was that they had the live setting on, and so I was enlarging it to see, it looked like they had a nipple ring. I enlarged it, and when I clicked on it, it went live, and I was like, oh, and then I saw it was blacked out. So they were highly embarrassed. But
their intention was that they should shield you from looking directly at the sun.
And that's good. Yeah, it was very cute. So that's a don't. Any other don'ts for you?
Don't eat garlic the day before.
That's for in-person dating.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, online dating.
Any don'ts? Yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it.
Please don'ts. What really is what's a real turn off for you?
I guess when people come at me too hard, too fast. Yeah, I think it's a question like, it needs a little bit of build-up sometimes, a little bit of flirtation, being inviting that way, teasing a little bit. That's always fun, right? And some people seem to be rather skilled at it. Yeah. And other people, maybe they need some practice, but have fun with it. I think that's one of the biggest things. Just have fun.
Yeah. I really like conversation. Like, I don't want someone like the first couple messages saying, so what turns you on, or what makes you hot, or and I hate the what are you looking for question, because I'm like, did you look at my profile? That I feel like that's kind of a cop-out question sometimes. I don't know.
And yet, after our date, we left and we're like, what were they looking for?
That's true. We didn't ask.
No, we didn't ask.
Not specifically.
Well, is it the question to be avoided? Is it too horrific a question? What are you looking for? But if we don't ask, then how do we know? What if we're looking for wildly different things?
Yeah.
What if we're looking for the same thing?
Yeah.
I think we should ask.
Yeah, for sure.
We didn't ask. We'll ask.
We didn't ask. Okay, so number 4 in the things you must know
set yourself up
for success. Yeah. So go ahead and say it.
Set yourself up for success.
Yes.
So if you're already partnered, right, have some essential conversation.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about that last week, and that's also included in the worksheet that we had. Like, what kinds of conversations you have, and what's important to you. Things like STI testing, for example, how often you do that. How do we meet people? How do we ensure that we have quality time together? There's a lot of things, if you're partnered especially, to set yourself up in advance. And like I said, we had and if you're just dating, it's like we had that 6-step plan to having sexy and successful first dates. That was our second video. So I wanted to see more here.
Okay.
Yeah. So so the other thing you could do, I think we talked about this a bit, is setting yourself up for success is, what do you do when you like someone? What's the next step?
That's a
knowing what the next step is.
Knowing what the next step is?
Yeah.
What is the next step?
I don't know. I think you have to decide.
Knowing if you like somebody.
No, it's more like if you're on a date and you like people, and we do talk about that
so
in the.
You're on a date, you like somebody.
And then is it a hard rule that if you're going with a partner, are you open to having activities on the first date, or is it or not? So
let's say we have a rule that's or not a rule or agreement or a consensus that we're going to go on the date, we're going to meet this couple, and we don't think we're DTF on the first date. But what if we go there and we're inspired and we're like, they're pretty fun, and they're like, seem like they're kind of inspired as well. How do we have that conversation with each other?
Well, we can just say we just need a private conversation for a second. We can have a symbol, so, that sort of thing.
Right. So we might have some kind of thing that says, okay, before we even go on this date, if we're really not feeling it, we might, have a sign that we're tugging our ear or something, right?
I think the tugging the ear was not interested. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
But there's something, right?
Yeah.
Or we could, scratch our brow or whatever it is. There's something.
Or a statement that you might say. It's like, oh, I really need to get that document done or whatever. I don't know.
Okay. And then if we're really interested, then what do we say? How would you communicate?
Well, I like to sit close so we can do like a hand.
We do a hand squeeze. So that's it. So those were the ones that we were using, right?
Hand squeeze.
We would tug our ear or something like that, which is so like kind of juvenile. So it's been kind of fun. It works, and we'd be looking at each other for that. Or we might have the idea, well, no message, no communication means that it's tolerable, everything is okay, or we're sticking to this.
Plan, yeah.
And then if we get like that special kind of hand squeeze or the finger underneath or whatever, then it's kind of like, like I'd be into this. And then if it comes back, okay, now we're both into it, and say, we feel that we might be comfortable in getting to know you a bit more.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So there's lots of things you can do to set yourself up for success. As he pulls his ear.
Oh, I'm feeling you put that essential oil and stuff behind my ear, and it's a
little greasy.
A little oily.
Is it giving you energy though?
It is
positive energy.
Positive. So positive.
Okay. Yeah. So having the conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And then having the conversations after too, like, so after the dates. Mm-hmm. So, knowing, having a bit of a recap, or if feelings, or even if you have activities that happen, having a bit of a post-mortem, as they say. I know that sounds terrible, but yeah, having a conversation, if you're partnered, having a conversation after about how things feel, or if you're going on a date by yourself, journaling, like, how did that go? What did that bring up? If my partner's out, what did that, and having, an ongoing dialogue and being curious about your feelings, I think is super important. A part of being successful.
Who calls it postmortem?
Postmortem are things like, I think in the military, probably postmortem.
After the operation. Because it's interesting, because in French, an orgasm is le petit mort, right? A little death. Yeah. So postmortem would be very good. But we might kind of check in with each other afterwards and find out, and with ourselves, what went right, what could have been better, and what do we want no more of, or what do we want more of?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, set yourself up for success. Number 4. Number 5, be prepared for when things go sideways or for when things aren't as you expect. So
yeah, how do you anticipate the unexpected? How do you prepare yourself for that?
I think some of the things you can do is like imagine what could happen. That sounds crazy. Like, what scenarios could come up? So if you're going to a sex party, okay, this is not a date, but if you're going to a sex party or something like that, or a club, what is it, the scenarios that you imagine could happen, and how are you going to deal with that? So your example of we just gave is like, if you're going on a date, you're having an online date, whether it's virtual or in person, and you're not enjoying yourself. How do you get out of it? What are you going to say? Yeah,
do you use the excuse that I got to go send this document, or you just say, look, I think it's about time we call it an evening. It was nice meeting you, but we're going to leave. Yeah, just be straightforward. Yeah, and I think, consent is, we mentioned it a few times, but it's so important. So, we'll always like to say, always remember that if you're not feeling something, you're always in your rights to say no. You can take away your consent, right? And
at any time.
Yeah, and you don't have to justify it. You don't have to create some fantastic excuse, or you don't have to lie about it. You could simply say, I think I've had enough, and I'd like to stop.
Exactly.
Whatever it is. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So ghosting, that's like one of the things that goes sideways. And I think people you hear it a lot from people that say. People say that there's so much more ghosting in non-monogamy. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. People just stop talking.
I don't know about that. When I was dating in the straight world, it would happen too. And it's interesting because the couple was speaking about it last night, and they were talking about, if you wait more than like 2 seconds to respond, all of a sudden, boom, they're gone. It's like they ghosted. Like, people seem fickle. And I think that's true in both worlds, in both the poly and the mono world, that there's such an abundance of people on the dating sites that, in a way, we've created this opportunity of it, plenty of fish, literally, and that they can be rather fickle. You'd be like, well, for whatever reason, you're wearing a blue shirt instead of a green one, and boom, I'm out of here. And you might not ever know the reason for it. And very often you might be disappointed, especially if you've been a little bit emotionally invested. You've been speaking to this person for a couple of days, whatever, and then gone. It's a horrible feeling. It's terrible.
Yeah, myself, and what I tell people that work with me is like not to take it personally, because I think people have things going on in their life, and it doesn't mean, especially I think because we do meet other couples and that sort of thing, and then long periods of time may pass when we don't talk to them, and one could assume that means they're not interested. One could also decide that it has nothing to do with us. There's other things going on in their lives. And so they're not reaching out for that reason.
Yeah.
So like, I like to choose the meaning that serves me the most and try not to take it personally.
Right.
So they said to me yesterday, because we were talking about the apps, and I'm like the worst on going on to Field, and that I have like a profile there and one on OkCupid, and like long periods of time will go before like responding back to people. And it's not because I'm not interested. It's just that it's not my priority.
Right.
And it has nothing to do with the person. So, and then people like then disconnect from me and that sort of thing. I'm like, okay, one less person that I have to talk to.
Well,
but they said I should put something in my profile that says
I'm
not very good at responding. If there's time, it doesn't mean it's you, it's me or something.
Yeah. But I was speaking to somebody on a dating site the other day, and we had a very short little exchange, and it was going well enough, I thought. And then for whatever reason, they said, I didn't want to just ghost you, but I'm not interested. And I was, wow, like, thank you so much for saying that to me. And, I wish you all the best in your search. And like, it felt so much better to have them say they're not interested than to just be gone.
Yeah.
Because if being like ghosting, it just feels like you're dismissed. It's like just tossed away. Whereas the other one, the message is the same. It's not gonna happen. But at least they took 2 seconds to say, look, I don't want to just leave you hanging. It's not going to happen. That's it. So thank you for saying that. Maybe initially it's kind of a little bit offending, but I'd rather have that than just being discarded or not knowing.
So maybe we should add that to the list of the do's or don'ts. Don't ghost. Like gives the other person some closure.
Yeah. So if
you're going to be offline.
Do offer closure or don't ghost. Yeah. That's a good thing.
So I think the important thing about online dating, and I know because a lot of you have come into the group say it's so hard to find a good fit. It's hard to meet people. And depending on where you are in the world, it can even be harder. Some things are underground. Some things are more open.
Right.
So I think it's important to recognize it can be a longer process to find a good fit.
Yeah.
And to be patient and to believe that what you want is out there. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why number one was deciding what you want, because it's like, if you really know what you want, you'll recognize it when you see it. And I have this belief that if we put it out there into the universe and we ask for what we want, we will get it. It'll come to us.
Sounds good.
I like it.
I like it too.
Yeah.
So set up your profile, let it be known what you're wanting.
Yeah. So to recap, sorry, you were jumping into them, but I wanted to say we're recapping the 5 things you must know. So number 1, decide what you want.
2, set up your profile.
Number 3, remember some do's and please don'ts that we listed.
Right. And set up yourself for success is number 4.
Yeah. And be prepared that things may go sideways.
Yeah.
And but
don't become disheartened by it. Don't give up just because it's, you might have to break a few eggs to make that omelet. So it'll be.
Yeah, because one of the things that happens sometimes is things are uneven and people get really disheartened about that. Mm-hmm. And I think that is a hard thing to do, but recognizing that, things do ebb and flow, and that's going to happen. Because that's happened to us before, for sure.
But it's easy. I find myself thinking back times when it might have been like a little bit of a lull and thought, like this whole thing is just like a pain in the ass. And I want to like scrap it all, be like done with it. But then there's something that happens in my libidinal drive that brings me back, and there's still that desire to connect. It's still the desire to make that connection. So find a way to resist, getting too down on yourself, too personalized, rejecting of all these people, and stay at it if you're wanting, because there is an abundance of love out there that is wonderful to experience. And it's a great way of connecting.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly. So now that you have all these 5 things that you must know, and you're ready to date, or at least closer than you were when you started here. Mm-hmm. Join us for our online speed dating and polyamory meetup.
This Thursday.
The
26th already.
Yeah, it's a great and comfortable way to get started.
Yeah, super comfortable. Yeah, because it was just like very casual. You're in the comfort of your own place, and then you're just going to come on and meet us and meet our friends, and it's a good time. Yeah, and one of the benefits, right, to the online dating is one that you get to meet a lot of people in a short evening, right, as opposed to setting up one date, and that it's a great place to do from the security and privacy of your own place, and there's very little pressure. In fact, there's no pressure. You just meet and see what happens.
Yeah, I can give you some practice asking questions.
Yeah,
because
you're present, allowing yourself to be seen.
Yeah, because last time we did like 5 minutes, and people were like, "Oh my god!" And then you had to ask a question, and then it's like, "Okay." You get to know the person in such a short period of time. It was super fun. So we'll make sure. What? Sorry?
No, I was just gonna say, and some of the people have said that they've made connections and are meeting each other. And
for sure.
That's a blast to think that we help facilitate that. That's really cool.
Yeah,
it's all about the love and connection.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So we hope you'll join us. We'll drop the link here. And again, if you want the checklist, the online dating checklist and tip sheet that we put together, which is super awesome, drop tennis or a tennis ball. Actually, tennis, both. I like both. Someone wrote I had big balls. I like that. Tennis balls. In the comments, and we will give you the link to the checklist.
Cool.
Awesome.
Sounds like fun.
Happy Monday.
Yeah.
Everyone have a great, if you're celebrating, it's a holiday Monday in some places. Happy holiday Monday.
Okay.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.